Okay, hi. This is going to be a very, very short lecture because it's not even a lecture. It's just me giving you an assignment verbally, which I'm also going to attach on a Google Doc or a regular doc. So we are not going to discuss 2 weeks ago poems yet, and we're not going to read more poems yet. What you're going to do instead is read 4 chapters in your book on poetry. So you still have a significant amount of reading to do, but it's not poetry reading. You're just reading the introduction to the specific elements. What we're going to do is something called front loading. I'm going to front load the um, elements, the poetic elements that I want you to be looking for, and then I'm going to give you a bunch of poems, and we're going to together look for those things in those poems. Your essay for this unit, this poetry unit, is going to be, you know, it was going to be you looking at how these elements were used in the poem, similar to our first essay with fiction. But I'd also like us to do the research element of the class for this essay. So, all of that is to say that it might change, but either way, it doesn't really matter if it changes. You are absolutely reading these chapters because you need to familiarize yourselves with these ideas and these poetic elements. So the first chapter is Theme and Tone. That is pages 794 to 798. I don't know the numbers of these chapters, so I'm going to put that in the document I attach. The next chapter is Language, Word Choice, and Order. Language, Word Choice, and Order is going to be talking about why specific words matter in a poem. For instance, if you're trying to say stone or rock, those words mean the same thing, but they have a very different sonic impact, meaning they sound different to our ear. So if you have a poem where you want to draw out like the feeling of time, and you like have a lot of O's and open vowels like that, using rock would kind of break that pattern. So you might choose stone. Or maybe you have long vowel sounds and long words and time is suspended and you want to break that suspense and you want to break time, and so you might choose rock. The words mean the same thing, but our experience with them as readers and speakers is a totally different thing from word to word. And that's what the language chapter is about. It's really exciting because this applies to your essays too. Like, it's important that you are specific and intentional about the words you choose, which we talked a little bit about in when I talked about the problems with the essays. All right, so language, word choice, and order. So that diction is the word for that. Diction means the words you choose to communicate what you're trying to communicate, and order is kind of syntax. So, in a poem where you're maybe trying to create a feeling of stress or anxiety, you might mix up the syntax, which is the order of the words in your sentence, to kind of emulate that feeling of anxiety and confusion. So, what's cool about poetry, and prose does this as well, especially short stories and fiction, but poetry relies on it. The form will imitate the content. So, if you want to create peace in a poem, you're most likely going to use beautiful, soft words. If you want to create rhythm and percussion and maybe anxiety, you might use sharp words and short words, right? Short lines. Like, all of this goes into a poem. And because poems generally take up a smaller space, we're able to see directly how these techniques and elements impact the writing. It's really cool. Or our experience of the writing, right? All right, so then your next chapter is going to be figures of speech. What they mean by this is figurative language. I'm not sure why they call it figures of speech. I've always disliked that about this book. But figures of speech, which is figurative language, you're going to read, this is the longest chapter. It's 10 pages, 834 to 844. And then finally you get to symbol or symbolism. So what is a symbol in a poem? How's it used? What does symbolism mean? Why is it useful? So on and so forth. That is 848 to 853. So you are this week only reading in the book. That's it. This is going to be a problem for those of you who don't have the book. If you don't have the book, contact me and I will see what I can do to help you. But you're reading all of those chapters. It's 4 chapters. I'll put this all in a document as well. And you are going to familiarize yourself with all of that so that by next Wednesday, we can look at a bunch of poems and we can start to generate ideas for our research papers, if they are indeed research papers, which I think they will be. Um, So you're doing that this week. So you have a week to do that from now until next Wednesday. And also by Friday, if you're going to write your revision, I need that revision so that I can look at them this weekend. And that's all. This is an easy week in the sense that there is not a long lecture. I will probably go over each one of these chapters next week when I actually give you the lectures, but I'll also be going over some poetry with you and some examples of these things. Um, so that's it. Very straightforward, very simple for a change. And I look forward to seeing your revisions. And for those of you who have reached out and talked to me, thank you. Good job. Get me your revisions on Friday so I can look at those. By the way, midterm grades are posted. You should be able to access that on ComNet. I actually don't know the student view on ComNet, so I'm not sure where it is. I just know that that's where it is. It's not on it's not on a Blackboard. It's on ComNet for you. So let me know if you're having problems with that. I won't be able to help you, but we can strategize about who you should talk to. And I hope you have a good week, and I hope you have had a good week.